What's going on, everyone? So, a couple reports came out that the Spurs are waiving Charles Bassett as a necessary step to complete the Harrison Barnes trade. Spurs are interested in investigating ways to bring Bassett back if he clears waivers. Spurs also sent Raquan Gray to Chicago. Spurs also got a 2031 first-round pick swap. So, the Spurs now, after doing so and completing the Harrison Barnes trade, they have two-way spots open, and they have 2 roster spots open because they only have 13 players under contract, 13 players on the roster. So they're getting Harrison Barnes. Chris Paul is done, signed, sealed, delivered, right? And so they basically have their core group and kind of the pieces in place to start looking forward to the future of this season. Now, obviously, there's rumors of potential trades, right? Like, Lauri Markkanen has kind of been the big name linked to the Spurs for some time. Will they go and actually trade for him? Probably not, if I had to guess. They'll probably just leave it alone. Utah doesn't really seem super, encouraged and excited to move Lauri Markkanen. Kind of just seems like they're one of those teams that are kind of looking at it as if the right price comes along, sure, right? But it'd have to be a price that completely blows them away. Basically, they want a Mikal Bridges type return. They want a couple nice young pieces. They want 4 or 5 first round picks, and just all absolute haul for Lauri Markkanen. I just don't think it's worth it for the Spurs to do so. I think that they have had a perfect offseason, in my opinion. I think the addition of Chris Paul was the best decision that they could have made. You got a real vet that has that competitive nature, no BS, right? Just relentless out there. He's proven throughout the course of his career that he's an excellent developer, right? He's excellent mentor for these young guards. You got Stephon Castle, you got Devin Vassell, right? You got all these guys. I mean, even Trey Jones, these guys are going to go a long way playing alongside Chris Paul. He's just the perfect vet extension of Greg Popovich. He's going to be able to come in, show these guys, what it takes to win and all that stuff. I know, the Chris Paul's never won a championship joke, but this guy has been a winner. This guy has, go look at the history of Chris Paul. Every place he's gone to has a better winning percentage when he gets there by a large margin. This guy's going to do wonders for the San Antonio Spurs beyond just the on-court stuff. I'm talking about all the things off-court, just the development and working with the young guys. And Chris Paul is fully aware of why he was brought in to do that, right? He understands, he's there to be a mentor. He's there to try to go chase that assist record, right? So he's going to be willing and dealing for these young guys. I think Harrison Barnes, again, was a great, perfect pickup. You got him. He's under contract for 2 years, but next year you would now have a $19 million expiring contract. If that piece that makes sense becomes available, and it's let's go pull the trigger and get this guy, right? Now you can. If some superstar becomes available that makes sense, right? Now you can go pursue it. Now you can go get him, right? So I think that the Spurs have just done everything right. You also, with Harrison Barnes, you get a guy that's won a championship, that has that championship DNA. I mean, he hit huge shots in the finals for the Warriors. This is a guy that understands what it takes. He's not the superstar elite guy, but he's fine. He's a vet that can come in, work with your Harrison Ingrams and your Vassell and, your Zohans and all those guys, right? He's another guy that can help develop the Spurs. So the question becomes is, now what do you do? Again, you could go pull off a trade. You could go make a move. But even then, if you were to go do a Lauri Markkanen trade, there still begs these questions of is that the right move, right? Is that good for the, not just now, but the long term for the Spurs? And what do you have to give up? Or is it really worth giving up all your draft picks for? I mean, at some point you're going to have to make a big splash, right? Because you can't have, 2, 3, draft picks coming in every single year, right? Eventually you're going to have to pay guys or look to move guys. But right now, I think the Spurs can be patient. So with the 2 roster spots, what do you do? I think that there's 2 paths that the Spurs can take. One is kind of going the young route, where you kind of take a flyer on a guy or two for a year, maybe two, right? You bring in like a Markelle Fultz or something, right? Can he kind of be a dynamic two-way guard for you off the bench, right? Like, especially if Nunez, if he stays over in Barcelona, right? If he ends up not coming over, if he stays out there, right? Maybe you're in the market for bringing in another guy, right? And you can kind of have like a Markelle Fultz come in and kind of get a look at him. Or do you bring in like a Tyus Jones or something, right? Like, or do you take a flyer on like Isaac Okoro, right? Like he's another 23-year-old 3-and-D style guy, shot 39% from 3-point range. It was on like 3 attempts per game, but still like the upside and potential is there, right? Like to me, I think you have the route that is like go find one or two young, high upside and potential guys, maybe a guy that needs a new situation, maybe a guy that needs a little flyer, right? Do you go take a flyer on like Omer Ertzeman, right? Like going that route, I think kind of fits with what you got. But I also like the idea of kind of sticking with the vet route, right? Because you have Johnson and Zohan, and you have Castle and Vassell and Wemby, and you kind of go down the list, and it's all these young guys that you're trying to grow and develop and build. Like, I don't hate the idea of like just bringing in one or two more just quality vet guys that are fine with just being mentors, right? Bring in can you find your Haslam, right? Can you find that guy that can come in, just he doesn't care, he just wants to be on. John Wall, like what he said, I'm not saying go get John Wall. I actually think that wouldn't be great, but kind of like what John Wall said, right? I'm using him based on what he said, not acquiring John Wall. I want to make that clear because anytime I mention a name, people are like, why would this person? They don't actually listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying going and acquiring John Wall. I'm saying what John Wall said, which is he just wants to be in the league. He doesn't care whether gets no playing time, any playing time, doesn't matter. He just wants to be around basketball, right? And you have vet guys that are out there that's all they want, right? They don't care if they play 30 minutes or they play 0 minutes. They just want to be able to come in and just be close to the game, be part of the team, have that camaraderie. They're willing to accept the role of development guy and help grow and mentor guys, right? Like if you can bring one or two just quality vet guys in, go sign one or two two-way guys that you're high on and go that. Or you go 1-1, right? Maybe you do one that is an old guy that's coming in as strictly as a mentor. And then maybe the other spot, the 15 spot, is a guy like a Fultz or, a Gary Trent Jr. or something like that, right? Maybe you're bringing in one of those guys, kind of get an opportunity for, right? There is this, the Spurs are kind of in this tough predicament, right? I mean, look, everything's great for the Spurs because you got more likely than not who's going to be the best player in the league in like 2-3 years. I mean, it could be as soon as next year. But even beyond just the talent and the upside of the guy, they're in this kind of rock and a hard place. Because it's like, do you kind of push your chips in, expedite this while Wemby is cheap? Because he's not going to be cheap forever. Eventually, you're going to reach this point where you're going to have to pay him and you're going to have to pay some of these other guys. And the new CBA is not very favorable, right? CBA is not very helpful in you building a real dynasty. And, so to me, it's like there is this pressure of like, do you push your chips in while Victor is dirt cheap? Or do you kind of just naturally home grow these players and then hopefully, one or two of these other guys take that next step and are a clear star, right? Not even a superstar. I mean, like, look at like Jokic and Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray's not a superstar, but he's he's never even made an all-star team. But he is an all-star level player. right? So your hope is that maybe Castle or, Vassell. I know some Spurs fans might look at Vassell and go, yeah, he's an all-star. I don't think he's there yet. Can he get there? I don't think he's far, right? I think, in another year or two, he very well could take that lead. So can Castle and Vassell kind of just be that? And then if Victor becomes the best player in the league, you don't need a super team to really be in contention every year, right? If you're the Spurs, you're in great shape. Like, again, why is Denver in contention every year? Because they got arguably the best player on the planet in Jokic, and they have a bunch of just high-end, star to, high blue chip role players, right? And if you're the Spurs, you kind of do the same thing, right? Like, you have Victor, who can be your star, and then as long as Castle and Vassell and, these other guys become, high-end star level or blue chip level players, then you'll be in contention every year. Get a couple dominoes fall your way, boom, you're in the championship. But I do think that there is this sense of like, go get, like, push chips in a little bit. Maybe you don't have to go all in, but you got a good hand right now, right? You got pocket aces. You're looking good, right? Maybe press that pot a little bit, right? Like, that's kind of how I feel, like, with the Spurs. Like, maybe you kind of press the pot a little bit. Let's kind of see what everyone else is working with here, kind of thing. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? What do you want them to do with the 2 open roster spots? Think the Spurs should go and target anyone specific? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.